Marjorie Brody is an award-winning author. She has a book called Twisted. It's been out for a couple of years now. She hopefully will have a new one real soon. But in the meantime, she's written a short story, and she's going to actually, I guess you're going to perform it with your cohorts.
We're going to do a dramatic reading.
There we go. So with that, Marjorie, come on up and introduce your guests.
Well, first off, I want to thank you, Alan, for organizing this event. And I want to thank Malvern Books for hosting us here. And I want to thank all of you for being here to support us. It's so wonderful. Thank you. I want to introduce my two colleagues. Kenneth Bennight is the author of the Nacho Perez Mystery Series. And I appreciate you coming even though his voice is trying to flee from him today, but he's still come. And Francis Hicks is my writing colleague, and he's written some short stories and working on a novel, and hopefully they will soon be published. So if you guys will step up and join me. The name of this story is called Number One GI. Fatigue lined Todd Douglas's face, dragged on his muscles, thickened his spit. But he stood erect, alert, eyes forward, ignoring the stares from the panel of judges, the prosecutor, the court reporter, the ghosts of the dead.
Be seated, Private Douglas.
Lieutenant Anderson, prosecuting attorney for the Judge Advocate General, tugged at the base of his jacket, a small gesture, perfecting the lay of his uniform. Todd plucked the sharp crease on his khaki sleeves. He looked pretty spiffy himself.
Before the recess, you were talking about what happened the day Private First Class Hepper died.
The attorney said.
Let's pick up there. And I remind you, soldier, you're still under oath.
The wood on the witness stand felt flatter, harder than it had all morning. Todd squeezed his butt cheeks, squirmed his ass around a little, and tried to find a comfortable position.
Yeah, well, we all knew the risks. Everybody knew it could happen. Happened to any of us. Shit, we were all living with kill or be killed every damn day, every damn night. We had to stick together.
Who devised the plan your squad followed?
The JAG's piranha asked him.
Well, Sergeant Caldwell figured out where they stashed
Todd searched for the politically correct word.
the supplies we needed.
Let's be clear here. The supplies you needed would be considered illegal drugs in the United States. Is that correct?
It wasn't illegal enough.
Todd said with a shrug.
Need I remind you which country's laws you swore to follow?
It was a matter of survival, but I don't suppose you'd know about that. What it's like to live 24/7 in a fucking hellhole.
Todd hardened his eyes.
So let me tell you, enlighten you about what it's like to live over there. You can call it living.
He flicked the collar of his shirt.
The shirt you wear all day, sleep in all night, reeks of death. Your pants stink from your own goddamn piss. And when you strip, you carry that smell of death with you, buried in your own goddamn skin.
Private?
Your feet, what you depend on to hightail your ass to cover, corroded and raw with jungle rot, where leeches crawl up your legs and suck blood from your goddamn balls.
Private!
You live under a hailstorm of bullets and satchel charges, those sweet little gifts the VC toss at you. Explosives and canvas satchels. You see your buddies made into Swiss cheese by punji sticks, filleted by tripwires.
He leaned forward, ignoring the moisture heating the space above his lips.
We needed those supplies. Hear me? We needed them.
It was war, Private. You expected a playground?
Todd swiped an index finger through the sweat, wiped the finger with a thumb, kept his mouth closed.
Smart-ass bastard didn't understand a fucking thing.
Sorry, Your Honors. I withdraw the question. So, your answer, Private Douglas, was to get high.
Todd slathered a grin onto his lips.
It took the edge off.
That raid, the one for supplies that took the edge off, it cost 11 civilian lives and wounded your interpreter, correct?
His smile fell like a can at target practice.
Yeah, casualty of war. It happens. Like they say about shit, it happens.
Your Honor, I ask that you instruct the witness to show respect for these proceedings.
So ordered, the presiding judge said, Private Douglas, it does your case no good to show your contempt in this court. Conduct yourself with the dignity your uniform demands,
Thank you, Your Honor.
Lieutenant Anderson said.
Now, Private, I'd like you to tell this panel what happened to your interpreter during the raid. The raid designed solely to stalk your illegal drug supply.
Todd shut the attorney up. Why the fuck you asking me when you already know the fucking answer? Glare.
He got slashed in the arm, sir. MASH unit had to take it off. His arm, sir. Sent him to the hospital in Long Bin.
Lieutenant Anderson walked slowly behind the table that served as his desk. He pulled out his chair and sat straight as the flagpole in the corner of the room. Even when he leaned forward to read notes from on his yellow legal pad,
Good color for a soldier who fights case law rather than the enemy.
his spine remained iron straight. With every goddamn minute the attorney stalled, the silence raised Todd's temperature 10 degrees.
What was PFC Hepper's reaction when the squad came back from the raid with the wounded interpreter?
Todd wiped his brow with the back of his hand, crossed his arms, and surreptitiously dried the sweat on the underside of his shirt sleeve.
Don't know. I didn't see him.
Lieutenant Anderson lifted a sheet of yellow paper with his right hand, ran his left index finger 3/4 down the surface.
Southpaw, wouldn't you know it?
Todd thought.
Just like hell.
That raid occurred on the afternoon of November 12, 1971. Is that correct?
Correct, sir.
When was the next time you saw PFC Hepper?
Before we crossed the river,
Todd leaned back in the witness stand, kept his arms folded.
sir.
And that was?
Later that night, sir.
If you could put your disdain aside for a moment, Private Douglas.
The attorney lowered the paper and pressed it smooth with a palm.
Let's get to the night of the raid. That same November 12, 1971. What was your mission?
Todd looked across his shoulder and addressed the panel. They would understand Nam.
Delta platoon called for reinforcements. Ground unit had taken a beating earlier that afternoon.
While you were conducting your supply raid.
How dare that pain in the ass interrupt? Yeah, I guess.
Continue.
That's what I'm trying to do, asshole. Our squad was ordered to cross the Mekong River at the junction. Intel said 100+ Charlies are holed up in the village.
Let me inform you, Private.
Lieutenant Anderson pushed his chair back and stood, strolled to the front of his desk.
We already have the testimonies of Privates Schilling and Renault.
His gaze never deviated from Todd.
What the fuck are you staring at, Peckerhead?
Todd jutted his chin.
What happened before your squad crossed the river?
We set a mine. I was following orders.
Whose orders exactly?
The squads, we all decided.
You all decided?
Lieutenant Anderson ambled in front of the panel, his steps slow, calculated, his back to Todd.
To set a mine. Interesting. And what was the purpose for setting this mine? To deter the enemy? To prevent an invasion?
To get rid of a snitch, a goddamn snitch.
Lieutenant Anderson stepped about face, squaring his shoulders to the witness stand.
The whole squad decided on setting a
We
mine.
had to stick together. Sergeant Caldwell was sure Hep, that's what we called Private Hepper, was going to rat us out. Hep was the only guy who wouldn't go on the raid. Claimed it wasn't part of our mission. Said it put innocent gooks, well, that wasn't his word, innocent villagers at risk. At risk? Hell, our mission was at risk without the goods from that raid. So Caldwell set up the plan, the rest of us, see, it was like this. If we didn't handle Hep, we would have been next. The sergeant would have seen to it.
Go on.
Sergeant had been tipped off.
Sergeant Caldwell?
Yes.
And what had Sergeant Caldwell been tipped off about?
Hep asked for a transfer, new squad, new leader.
Go on, what happened?
What do you think? Sarge wished Hep well and with a pat on the back. Sarge sent Hep beyond the wire.
To patrol the border alone?
Yes.
Then what happened?
Sweat pooled along the base of Todd's spine, sucking his undershirt to his skin.
Sarge told the rest of us Hep was going to turn us in. Report the entire squad. Every last one of us.
Speak up, Private. Those answers aren't on the tips of your shoes.
Todd flicked his head up.
Up yours.
Lieutenant Anderson arched his arm through the air and gestured to the judges.
Tell this esteemed panel what happened when you presumed Private Hepper would file a complaint against you.
Todd kept his gaze locked on the attorney.
File a complaint. In a war zone? What a laugh. It was nothing so civil. If Hep ratted us out, it'd be the end for all of us.
Continue.
His ears reviewed the sounds of that night. Distant sounds, gunfire, rocket fire, close sounds, buzzing insects, murmuring squad. His eyes re-experienced the listless colors of that night. Gray-black barbed wire, gray-black ground, gray-black sky and a crippled, jaundiced moon. Starch from rice paddies had stiffened his clothes, had scratched the small of his back. Bone-weary legs lifted heavy black boots as he marched. Todd shoved the unwanted sensations aside and hated Hep even more for forcing him to remember.
Sarge marched us to the perimeter,
He said,
confronted Hep.
What did Private Hepper do when Sergeant Caldwell confronted him?
Hep denied everything but the request for a transfer, of course. Said he was tired of living with such lowlifes. That's what he called us. Drug-using, self-serving lowlifes. Said he couldn't respect us, couldn't trust us. Fuck. Hep said he needed to transfer to fight the war he was sent to fight. Like we weren't fighting the same goddamn war?
Did Private Hepper say or do anything else? Private Douglas, something you're not telling us? What else happened during that confrontation?
Todd took a long, slow breath and imagined Nam green seeping deep into his lungs, bringing the burn, bringing a calm.
The VC had a way of judging soldiers, 1 to 10, 10 being the worst. Hep walked right up to Sarge and looked him in the eye and said in his best goop voice, "You number 10 GI."
What did Sergeant Caldwell do when Private Hepper accused him of being a bad soldier? Private, what did Sergeant Caldwell do?
Todd heard the words that snapped through the air that colorless night, relived his own startle. In the witness chair, he straightened his spine and pulled his shoulders back.
The Sarge called Hep a goddamn nigger, said no high and mighty black boy was going to disgrace him.
How did Private Hepper react?
He squared his shoulders and repeated, 10.
And then?
And then Hep did an about face, just turned his fucking back and walked away.
What did Sergeant Caldwell do when Private Hepper walked away?
Sarge,
Todd closed his eyes, and he was still there, the barrel glinting in the moonlight, a sound, the sound, that erased every other.
Sarge shot him. Shot Hep like some goddamn Charlie, blew his fucking chest out.
Lieutenant Anderson dipped his head ever so slightly to the panel of judges.
What did you do when Sergeant Caldwell...
We stood there. We did nothing.
I'm not asking what the squad did, Private. I'm asking what you did.
Todd held his eyes steady and attempted to read the stony faces of the men on the panel. The less he could decipher, the more adrenaline flooded his bloodstream.
Nothing. I did nothing.
I see. You did nothing.
How could I? Sarge said Hep was deserting. Desertion in the face of the enemy. Sarge had to shoot him, told us we were all witnesses.
Did it look like desertion to you, Private?
Sarge called it. That made it so. But then Stingray...
Stingray?
Bobby Ray Bryan, sir.
Go on.
Stingray was mad enough to piss on Hep's grave. Hated that Hep didn't go on the raid with us. Wouldn't even think about turning us in. The two of them went way back. Grew up in the same crummy neighborhood. And Hep protected him from street thugs as a kid. Said he owed the guy something.
Todd pushed words through tight jaws.
He didn't want Hep branded a coward.
So what happened?
Lieutenant Anderson's whole demeanor shouted, "You've got to be kidding." But Todd ignored the attorney's nonverbal trap and focused on the lieutenant's question.
Stingray convinced Caldwell to create a little accident on our way to the river. Make it look like a line-of-duty tragedy. blow the body to pieces, no evidence of desertion.
You mean no evidence of foul play?
I mean no proof Hep's official cowardice. Saving Sarge Buku paperwork didn't hurt either, so the whole squad agreed. And that's what we did.
That's what you did. Set of mine.
Sure, why not? The guy was already dead.
You didn't think to turn in Sergeant Caldwell?
We had enough worries with Charlie. Didn't have time to look over our shoulders, watching for one in the back by one of our own. So, yeah, maybe we thought about it, but we had our priorities, know what I mean?
Private Pepper had his priorities too. Like following the oath he swore to uphold when he entered the U.S. Army.
Yeah, look what that got him.
You have a point, Private. Look what that got him.
Todd's limbs tingled, wanted to move, to strike out.
You don't get it, do you?
Oh, I get it. The buddies who were supposed to protect him agreed to blow him up, make it look like an accident.
Like I said, it was a matter of life and death.
Wipe that smirk off your face, Private.
How dare you, sir, hide behind your safe little desk in your safe little courthouse on your safe little base and dare to judge me, to dare to...
I'm done with this witness, Your Honor. Sergeant at Arms?
Todd sprung to his feet before the bailiff reached him.
We were doing your dirty work, Lieutenant, with our careers on the line. Our lives. Leave your fucking hands off me, man. I'm going.
He lifted his chin and stepped down from the witness stand, pausing in front of Lieutenant Anderson.
Just don't forget, sir, it was our testimony that made Hep into a #1 GI. We made him a goddamn hero.
You're dead wrong, soldier. Private Hepper already was a #1 GI, a goddamn hero. You just made it official.
Does anyone have any